Hello, and welcome to the 14th Annual Ernest J. Gaines Award for Literary Excellence. In the first 13 years of presentations for this award, more than 200 people gathered with Mr. Gaines at the elegant Manship Theater in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At the reception, Louisiana food was served in rooms filled with laughter, and Mr. Gaines presided over this gathering with Gentleman Jack in hand, his grandchildren draped all over him. COVID has taken our chance to celebrate in person this year, but we've gotten together with public broadcasting stations to create this video so even more people can watch this ceremony. Mr. Gaines passed away in late 2019. One of the hallmarks of his stories is what scholars call voice. It's a literary term that eludes easy definition, but you know what it is. It's the poetry in his work. Mr. Gaines' most lasting legacy is that he captured the voices of people who otherwise might have been drowned out in the din of noisier, more important folk. He did so by listening, sitting at the feet of his elders when he was a small child. He heard the storytellers on the front porch. He listened to churchgoers who'd shout and sing during Sunday services and gossip together afterwards, to parents pleading with God in desperate whispers. He turned those voices into stories. The autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, A Gathering of Old Men, A Lesson Before Dying. If he were here, he'd likely offer us this advice: listen to each other, and listen to the voice of the winner of this year's award, Gabriel Bump. With this presentation and the 13 before it, the Baton Rouge Area Foundation has lived up to the original promise of the Gaines Book Award. We have found promising African-American writers, and they have continued to write stories that help us understand the world, so we may act within it for the betterment of all people. Your host for this evening is Tony Grooms, a writer and teacher. Tony is among the independent panel of judges who selected the winning book, Everywhere You Don't Belong. Tony?
Thank you, John. It is my great pleasure to talk about the Ernest J. Gaines Literary Award. This is an award given to rising African-American writers, and to my knowledge, it is the only award that's dedicated specifically to rising African-American writers, and therefore it is unique among literary prizes. The judges, Elizabeth Nunez, Francine Prose, Edward P. Jones, Patricia Towers, and myself, take our charge very seriously, and we are very proud that over the years, since 2007, when the award started, we have been able to support writers who have gone on to win other literary prizes and to continue to publish and to make a mark in the literary culture. I met Ernest Gaines quite a few years ago, first as a young professor, interested in his work, of course, and a bit shy to meet him, but later introduced by a neighbor and friend, the esteemed Rudolph Byrd. At that point, he, Mr. Gaines, and I became good friends. Mr. Gaines, with his stylish beret, often visited my neighborhood where he stayed in a local B&B that he enjoyed. I do recall taking him to a neighborhood soul food restaurant where the owner took great pleasure in ringing the bell, a bell that he kept to announce a new guest. He rang the bell and was pleased to announce that the author of the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman was eating his fried chicken. We certainly will miss Mr. Gaines, but this award, as important as it is, will continue.
Ernest was honored and delighted by the award, the Ernest Gaines Literary Award, because it gave attention to struggling new young writers. And he remembered so well how difficult it was for him in the beginning. I'm sitting at Ernest's desk, which is where he often sat to write. But this is the room that he used most of all. As you can see, he has photographs on his desk, and as you can see, there are books behind him that he could reach very easily. And it was just a comfortable, happy place for him to be. He also loved meeting the writers, all of them, and reading their new books. It gave him a great deal of pleasure. It was just something that he enjoyed tremendously. All of us did.
Hello, I'm Sternberg, and I'm delighted to serve as chair of the committee who works with the Baton Rouge Area Foundation to present the Gaines Award. Ernest Gaines enriched our lives as readers for so many years, but he also inspired numerous young writers in their art, including those who have won the award that is named in his honor. This, of course, includes our current winner, Gabriel Bump, whose debut novel, Everywhere You Don't Belong, was selected by our wonderful judges. Everywhere is a coming-of-age story about a boy named Claude McKay Love growing up on the south side of Chicago. He lives with his grandmother, who is a quirky soul, in a challenging environment. And so, like most boys his age, he's trying to both cope with where he lives and figure out where he belongs in the world. He falls in love for the first time, he deals with pressures from his peers, he negotiates the violence in his neighborhood. If this all seems a familiar urban tale, it is treated in a unique way by a very talented writer, as our judges determined. Gabriel Bump actually set out to be a journalist when he left the south side of Chicago to enroll in the University of Missouri that has a wonderful journalism program. But his focus soon changed when he took a creative writing class, and he realized his passion was actually literary, not journalism. So he changed his major to fiction because it delighted him more. After graduating from Missouri, Gabriel earned a Master's of Fine Arts in Fiction from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. He now lives in Buffalo, New York, where he's been working on his second book and adapting his Gaines Award-winning novel for the screen. So it's my privilege tonight to introduce you, albeit virtually, to Gabriel Bump, the esteemed winner of the 2020 Ernest Gaines Award for Literary Excellence. Congratulations, Gabriel.
Well, thank you, Marianne, for that nice introduction. I'm really honored and still blown away a couple months after the fact to receive the Ernest J. Gaines Award for Literary Excellence. It just came in the mail a couple of days ago, and like holding it is pretty spectacular. I still am actually keeping it in the velvet box that it came in. I'm afraid of dropping it. Anyway, so it was one of the few times it's seen the sunlight. But I guess I'd like to thank my family, my mom and dad, sister and brother, for allowing me to just be their annoying little brother that just kind of messes around with stories, and to always encourage me to follow this dream that I had, that I started taking really seriously when I was pretty young, right? When I was just a teenager. Obviously, I want to thank everyone at Algonquin Books for taking a chance on this novel and putting a lot of care and kindness into releasing it into the world. So Betsy, Michael, Kathy, Lauren, Randall, I am forever in your debt and filled with tremendous gratitude. My agent, Alexa Stark, who it seems like we've been on this journey together for 4 years, right? Almost half a decade, just with this book, trying to see it through. And so to have all that culminate in this amazing honor is, I don't know, something I guess I hoped for, but didn't really dream would happen. So again, just thank you to the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. And I don't take this honor and the responsibility that comes with it, lightly. So thank you again.
Gabriel Bump, I'm very sorry I can't be there with you in person, but I'm delighted to have a chance to congratulate you virtually for your wonderfully imagined first novel, Everywhere You Don't Belong. As one of the judges for the Ernest Gaines Award, from its first pages, I found the novel's narrator deeply appealing. Your recreation of the 1966 Chicago West Side riots after a black man dies at the hands of the police is stunning. An all too timely depiction of a continuing set of realities. This is a vibrant story full of humor, heartbreak, and idiosyncratic characters caught up in the harsh truths of the America they live in. Thank you for this wonderful book. I can't wait to read the next one.
Congratulations. As I've said before, we, the judges, enjoyed reading your book. And I wanted to explore with you just a little bit about your background and also how you've come to write this really wonderfully comic, dark story about coming of age. Right now, you are in Buffalo, New York. Is that right?
Yeah. And there's plenty of snow.
What do you do in Buffalo?
Well, I was teaching at University of Buffalo for the past year, and now, just writing, working on some film projects, and doing some work for a local literary nonprofit, Just Buffalo.
Okay. My understanding is that you're on your way to the South.
I am. I accepted a position at UNC Chapel Hill, and I am excited about it. It's nice to look at the weather forecast and see sunshine in January.
Well, I assume that you're used to the Buffalo weather, the Great Lakes area, since you grew up in Chicago. And you grew up in a particular neighborhood in Chicago called South Shore. Can you tell us a little bit about South Shore and maybe also something about your family growing up? I think you have a couple of siblings.
Yeah. So I have two older siblings who were kind enough to let me borrow their books and never return them most often. But South Shore is I think is a fascinating part of the world, definitely of Chicago. It's right just below Hyde Park and the University of Chicago, just tucked along the lakefront there. And it has this fascinating history, I think, like a lot of neighborhoods in urban America, where in the second half of the 20th century, the demographics just like flipped overnight, seemingly because of white flight and this influx of people from the South looking for opportunity in Chicago. And so I think that a neighborhood like South Shore contains just, so much of the American story, right? Like this hope for a better life, the disillusionment of the American dream, right? Like these people that ended up coming to Chicago and then finding out that life in a place like the South Side of Chicago didn't really offer, that much opportunity. And so how do you deal with those generations of disillusionment? And So in writing this book, it was obvious setting, because I think all writers tend to lean towards writing, a place that's familiar to them and they know really well. But I feel like I was lucky to grow up in a place like South Shore that was just filled with, such like emotional, socioeconomic diversity, I guess you can call it. There's just these constant like juxtaposition between despair, love, and hope.
It's interesting to hear you talk about community, and you seem so well rooted in the South Shore community. Yet your novel's title suggests a sense of rootlessness everywhere you don't belong. Can you talk a little bit about the title and perhaps a little bit also about the journey of Claude, who's the protagonist of your novel?
Yeah, I think that the title, comes a lot from Claude's point of view, right? As just this average kid that can't really do anything really well, right? He's not exceptionally bright. He's not athletically gifted at all, right? He can't seem to succeed in romance, right? He's not suave. And just in general, he feels adrift in the world, right? He can't really seem to figure out what his lane is. And I felt, somewhat similar when I was growing up, right? And just those standard teenage anxieties, I think in places like the South Side of Chicago, I assume, in inner city New Orleans too, right? Like this is a universal trait is for teenagers, they're already having a hard time finding out who they are. You also have to deal with this outside world that is actively against you, right? That actively doesn't want you to feel comfortable. And so I feel like coming of age and realizing the real like horrors of systematic racism is, it's traumatizing, right? I think it really alters how young people of color mature, right? And so when Claude decides to leave and try, a new world, move to the middle of Missouri for college, he soon finds out that, wait, this place doesn't really seem to want me either, right? And I feel, I have felt that. I've lived in 4 different states, right, going on 5 different states, and every stop that I've made, I have felt just a little out of place, right? Solely because of the way that I look.
Is it also perhaps a little bit because of your writer's outlook? We writers do tend to be a little bit, let's say, self-alienating, observant, and in some ways perhaps annoying to other people, but nonetheless. I'm really interested in one scene in particular in the novel, which is a riot scene. And as a novelist, I know that this kind of scene is very difficult to render. And one of the things that the judges really admired was how you handled those chapters in which the neighborhood is up in turmoil and various factions are fighting within the neighborhood, and the various characters are taking shelter in, and expressing their fears in various ways. It reminded me a great deal of Ralph Ellison's riot scene in Invisible Man. Was Ellison perhaps an influence on you, on your thinking, or maybe one of the influences?
Yeah, I think in particular those riot scenes, and then the scenes and the whole plot line of Big Columbus, right? This head of this organization, like gang/community organization called the Red Belters, were almost directly influenced by Invisible Man, and how Ellison is able to balance kind of levity and trauma, and like horrors of life, and then just kind of slapstick hilarity of life. And I mean, I read Invisible Man at a pretty impressionable moment, right? I was just finishing up the first half of this novel in grad school, and I was back home in my room in Chicago, and just devoured Invisible Man over probably 3 days, right? And just said, oh, well, I should at least try to write a book like this. I think we all have those works where we try to emulate, even if it's impossible to.
The judges, I think, were very impressed not only with your skill in writing, but also, as you have implied in an earlier answer, the idea that your character Claude really touches a lot of folks across a range. The teenager who's coming of age, who is not exceptional in any way, who lives in an inner city and is dealing with inner city problems, whether it's Chicago or Baton Rouge or Atlanta, where I am. And in that way, really creating a sense of specificity on one hand and universality on the other hand. It's a really marvelous achievement. What are you working on now? As authors are often asked. You did say you were writing, so now you're working on something. Can you say?
Yeah, it's so great. But I'm finishing up my second novel, which takes place in Western Massachusetts, where I went to graduate school, and trying to sort out a Buffalo novel that I think might be close to having a first draft. And they all deal with, similar things, right? Like place, belonging. And so I kind of view these works as some trilogy, right? If I guess I'm lucky enough to put it together.
You might call it your cold weather trilogy, since all those are cold. I look forward to those novels, and I also look forward to maybe a Southern novel once you have situated yourself in the South. I believe that's our time, and I want to thank you and congratulate you, Gabriel. Thank you for your work, and I hope to hear and see a lot more from you in the future.
Well, and I guess thank you so much, Tony, and the rest of the judges. I know you take your job very seriously, and I appreciate the recognition a lot. And see you in the South, probably.
All right, then.
So here's Everywhere You Don't Belong. Now out in paperback, actually, too. And I'm just going to read from the last chapter of the book. And don't worry, there's no spoilers or anything like that. It's not that kind of story. But I like reading this really short section because not only was it the last thing I wrote for this book, but I think it encapsulates the message, the characters, and yeah, so I'll just jump into it. Now, this chapter is called Where We Belong. Sometimes when it's morning and we're both tired, I stare across the table and see Janice again in Juna's back seat. I see her hair rattling in the wind. I feel my hand on her knee, held there for hours and miles. I see her on the beach, picking up empty shells. I hear her kicking sand. I smell salt on her shoulders. I turn to her whenever the future frightens me, the present frightens me, the past ambushes my peace, and sleep doesn't come. When the sun rises and Janice looks right at me, I see them all in her eyes. Grandma and Paul, happy, laughing, waving, safe. Everyone in South Shore, safe and happy. They're okay without us. They forgive us for leaving. We're okay too. Yes, right where we belong.
With our deep congratulations to Gabriel Bump, we thank you all for attending and look forward to seeing you in person for next year's award ceremony. Good night.
Gabriel, congratulations on your Gaines Award win for Everywhere You Don't Belong. There's a moment in the Ernest Gaines novel, Catherine Carmier, where the main character is riffing on the idea of here and there. And I think your book, with the structure of it and the style and the voice, really gave us a sense of that. Also know that the Gaines Award community has been a big benefit to me, also a point of connection with so many writers I admire. So welcome, so glad that they chose you, and congratulations.
Mr. Bump, I want to congratulate you on winning the Ernest Gaines Award for Literary Excellence. Well done and well deserved. You may not know this, but I too am from South Shore. So thanks for representing our neighborhood in Chicago. And I wish you much success with this book and with the many other books to come. Well done, young man.
Hi there, it's Attica Locke. I want to congratulate Gabriel Bump. This is a wonderful award that made me feel so incredibly connected to a literary tradition that Mr. Gaines, paved the way for all of us. It just meant the world to me to be recognized for my voice as a Black writer, for my voice as a Southern writer. It meant the world. And I also have to say, I think it's important, it meant the world that there was money attached to the prize. I was quite broke when I won that prize, and I needed the money very much. And people downplay that part of it, but it matters, and it helps artists feel safe, it helps them feel protected, and it helps them keep creating. It's a wonderful prize. I am honored to be a part of this community. And again, Gabriel, I wish you the best. Huge congratulations from me.
Gabe, congratulations, man. Huge congratulations for being this year's winner of the Ernest Gaines Prize. I feel especially proud, man, having known you now for, 5 or 6 years, I think, when you were a graduate student. And I was, so happy for you to see all the love in the New York Times and to see the love in the other publications. And now to know that we are now connected by this prize with so many other amazing Black writers. And I'm sending you this love from Chicago, your home city. And I know that they are proud. Another native son has done well in the literary world. So I just want to congratulate you. I know the ceremony is virtual, but man, I'm there with you and I'm supporting you. And I just can't wait to see all the great things you're going to continue to do. Much love.
Geronimo here. Congratulations on winning the Ernest J. Gaines Award for Literary Excellence. There are many awards out there, but I think this is the most important one. I know it's the one that's meant the most to me. So take care and congratulations again.
Congratulations, Gabriel. What a joyous occasion. I'm so excited for you. I remember this being such an exciting time for me and filled with so much inspiration. And I can't wait to see what your next book is and what you do next. So congratulations again.
Hi, this is Lady Hubbard, and I want to congratulate you on the enormous honor of receiving the Ernest J. Gaines Award for Literary Excellence this year. I'm so sorry that we're not able to meet and celebrate in person at this time, but I'm actually in the process of reading your novel right now as we speak, and really looking forward to having the chance to speak with you and hopefully meet you in person sometime soon. So congratulations.
Gabriel, man, this is Jamel Brinkley. I want to congratulate you for winning the 2020 Ernest J. Gaines Award for Literary Excellence. I don't have to tell you how meaningful it is to be associated with the legacy of excellence of Dr. Gaines and to have recognition by the living tradition of Black writing. Enjoy it, man.